Hey, new bumper.
Like that?
Was the first time seeing that. That's pretty sharp.
So if you, we have two here that I was going to do, but I would also like to take one from the Peanut Gallery who's watching live. So if you have a question, let's see, make it easier for me to see it in the comments. Put a question mark in front of it, and maybe we'll have a chance to get to it. But the first one comes from Carolyn Strait, and this was a very, very good one. I was thinking this segment we could do some serious, some silly, kind of mix it up a little bit. So hers is a little bit more serious, but thought it was a good one to kick off. She said, how would you describe the difference? How would you define the difference between being childlike and childish?
Ooh, that's good. This is interesting coming from Carolyn, because one of the most recent memories I have of a shared experience with Carolyn is doing the chicken dance with her at the polka party at the first night of the summit. So the idea of childlike, childish, you tell me, what's the chicken dance?
Well, that's just it. I think the context is important, isn't it?
The context is important. Doing the chicken dance at work in a meeting, and you're the only one,
and big client is there, and you're trying to seal the deal. Maybe not. Maybe not great.
Right.
I definitely would say that if you're not sure, anyone that has a husband probably knows the difference, right?
That was one of your big laugh lines in your...
You just laughed right now.
I know, but
it still works. Still got it.
That's been a punchline for a while.
Yeah, so obviously one of the things that we are very big on here is that we encourage people to be childlike, not childish. I don't know. For me, what comes to mind is I think of tantrums. Like when I think of a little kid throwing a tantrum, that's obviously very childish, and sometimes we see adults doing the exact same thing. Right?
I witnessed an adult tantrum last night. I'm not going to get into politics, but we did view a virtual school board meeting.
That was enlightening.
And it did run from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. And there was some hot topics involved, and there were some adult tantrums.
Yeah.
On all sides.
Yeah, it was pretty eye-opening, but yeah. So I think
there's a line where when you don't get your way as a grown-up, how do you react, right? And Martha said the exact same thing. No tantrums if you're childlike.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So for me, being childlike is you look at what are the best qualities of children, the things that were kind of like baked in from the beginning. So I think a sense of wonder. Delighting in little things. If you subscribe to The Insider, last week I talked about Las Vegas and how it's sort of the opposite. It's like everything is bigger and more and lavish. And being able to just appreciate small things is very childlike. I think the ability to dream big, the ability to be curious, to be playful, honesty is another one. I think kids are devastatingly honest sometimes.
Nerve-wrackingly honest.
Yeah.
Did you just say that? Yeah, that is probably true. Yeah.
Being passionate. Little kids are passionate about life. And so I think obviously then you look at the opposite of that, and that's adultitis is what that is. But yeah, what would you say is childish? Like what would be traits? We talked about the tantrum.
Yeah. Well, I think adult tantrums, obviously you can think of the most obvious ones. We see them on Facebook all the time, social media, right? Where people are kind of fighting and whining. But I think in person, I definitely have I have a very low, if not zero tolerance for people who are trying to get your attention by the way they're acting instead of using their words. Because as a kindergarten teacher, that was a very common phrase that I would tell our 5 and 6-year-olds in the classroom is use your words. How does that make you feel? I feel frustrated that he stepped on my foot on purpose. I feel mad, right? These are just basic emotional communication styles that you teach as what you learned in kindergarten. This is not often practiced in the adult world, especially at the grocery store or something, or maybe, road rage kind of stuff where there's no ability to actually communicate real emotion. It's just all, kind of, maybe that goes into tantrums again, but I'm thinking more of what's the word? Kind of drama.
Yeah. Well,
right?
Brian points out complaining. That's a good one of that.
Right.
Sharon says, I find people have tantrums when they don't feel heard. And that is often true, whether they don't feel heard or they're hurt or angry. Sometimes
so going
that comes
back
out.
to the I feel statement, right? Like I feel, and then I don't say I feel you're wrong. It's like I feel frustrated, I feel mad, I feel sad. These are like actually adult things that we can do. I know Jennifer Taggart's probably raising her head like yes, the art therapist here, but
yeah, Jennifer says I played Baby Shark for guys at the end of group today, and they laughed so much. So that's kind of the magic, is knowing when to push the envelope a little bit, because sometimes there is that, and I would say that's the childish. Sometimes is when you can never be serious, when you're always sort of acting out, and you can't actually get deep. You can't be vulnerable. I think it's very childlike to be vulnerable.
Right.
And so there's a fine line to, push the envelope to really encourage people to get out of their doldrums, as it were.
Brenda's hitting on a very good side of this too. The entitlement, the bullying. I mean, right? This reminds us of third grade, but honestly, this happens all the time. And adult bullying is something that is a part of adultitis. It's actually way worse than I think people give it credit for. And I don't think people use the right label for it. I think that adult bullying is a huge problem.
Yeah. The inability to listen. I think it's so funny in our politicized climate. Everyone is quick to say, you need to be open to the other side. But then those people are not actually open to the other side. It's like they basically want, like, you need to listen to me. That's code for like, you need to be open to all points of view, is code for listen to my point of view because I'm right,
I think Sharon's hitting on a good distinction of semantics here. Childish focuses on self, and childlike focuses on everyone. That's good. That's a really good summary.
I like Helen's too. Childlike is seeing joy and wonder around you and falling in love with it.
Ooh, I love that, Helen. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So we did get a couple more questions. Do you want to grab those before they go up too far?
Yeah, well, we could do that. Let's see.
It was kind of towards the beginning.
Yeah.
So thank you for
let's do
in there, guys.
Brenda. Brenda asks, how did you come to the conclusion that 93% was the perfect amount of weird? For context of that, we have I guess a story and a philosophy that you want to be about 93. That weird is good, first of all. That weird is good. Sort of like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Weird is good.
Yeah.
It was made fun of for being weird, but it ended up saving the day. And so, but there is a level of too weird, right?
Right.
When you are, have 85 cats and you dress them all up to look like Taylor Swift. That's kind of a little bit too weird.
Is that 94?
That's 94. Yeah. So I don't know. It was like at dinner time one time.
Yeah.
And we just,
was it me
I
or
don't remember
you?
how it came out. We just randomly kind of said, like, you want to be pretty weird, but not too weird. And I think 93 just came out and it felt right. It felt right. And
it did feel right. Because you definitely have to have enough percentages to get to 100. We could have said 99.
You got to have some levels, yeah.
Right. I think it allowed us to play in that range of like, there is a gap between the right amount of weird and extreme weird.
Yeah, you could go just a little bit over, or you can go a lot over, and we need to have that distinction.
Right.
But the 90s felt about right.
Yeah.
All right, I have one more here. It. This is from. Okay, I'm gonna give you 3 guesses of who this is from, and the first 2 don't count. This is a Wonder and Whimsy Society member.
Okay.
It's actually a patron, so now I've just ruined it.
Oh, geez.
She wants to know, what is your favorite McDonald's menu item?
Who could this be? I wonder if she's downtown tonight.
Julie Brown works for McDonald's. She is a huge fan.
Are we allowed to say that, by the way? Can we reverse time?
I think it's...
Is that public knowledge?
I think
it is. No!
I think she's fairly open about that.
Okay.
She's a huge fan.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
She wants to know, what is our favorite McDonald's menu item? So we went from deep to deeper.
Oh, is yours like obvious?
I like.
Arby's.
I actually thought about this a little bit, and I was like, you know what I like a lot, but I rarely get, is a Big Mac.
Oh, I've never seen you get a Big Mac
I've gotten,
in our whole life.
Probably
together.
a handful of times in my life. But
Yeah.
I shy away from them because of the calorie content. But
Can I say my Big Mac story?
yeah.
All right, so when I was like 5 or 6, my grandma Miller took us to McDonald's. She was babysitting us, which was pretty rare because she had like 100 grandchildren. Okay, but she was babysitting us. We went to McDonald's, and I remember standing, looking up, and she's like, "What do you want, Kim?" And I said, "I'll take a Big Mac." I was like 5, and I've never had a Big Mac, never tried a Big Mac. My mom would never let me get a Big Mac. And of course, my 3 older sisters were like, "She doesn't eat Big Mac. She won't eat it." And my grandma gave me this little look, and she was like, "Would you eat it if I got it for you?" And I was like, "Yes." And so she got me a Big Mac. This sounds like something your dad would do, right? To like actually like say yes to that. Yeah. And I hated it, and I did not eat it. So that's my Big Mac story. I did feel shame, but I still chose not to eat it, which is a very 5-year-old, very childish. It was the dressing, wasn't it? It was the sauce, dressing. Yeah. It was so gross.
Which is what I like about it. But yeah, so that's good. I mean, I got to say, too, I am an equal opportunity French fry person, but there's something about McDonald's French fries.
I have to say the fries because they're just
What about the Shamrock Shake? Thought you would have said that.
I do like the Shamrock Shake. I'm not going to go into detail, but I do like homemade better. So I like Shamrock Shakes in general, but my mom makes a pretty mean Shamrock Shake. Yeah,
homemade's always better, no matter what it is.
But the French fries, you just can't. Especially, there's just something about the last few in the bag.
Well, how about the first one, the sneak fry?
What's better, the first few or the last few? I don't know.
Yep, Ron, French fries. Right? He's in on French fries. Oh, this is interesting. Martha says our local tavern made a Big Mac pizza complete with pickles. Sounded so weird, but it was delicious.
Oh, that's fun. I love it when they do the mashups, right? Yes. That's awesome.
Good stuff. All right, well,
that was fun.
You know what? I think if anyone has a question, send it to kj@escapeadulthood.com because we will probably do this segment again.
Yeah.
And whether it's a serious question or a silly question, we like to have a little bit of both. So send your questions to kj@escapeadulthood.com and...